Alright, so here we are on runway 25 at Kutaisi, and this is the Caucasus instant action hot start on the runway mission. So, a couple of things that I want to talk about when it comes to hovering. First and most important thing when you're first trying to figure this out is don't use the trim. You know, people are having all kinds of trouble with the trim, and you know, there have been demands for trim resets, and ED is talking about trim even. Listen, just when you're trying to learn how to hover this thing at 5 feet, don't use the trim. It's, you don't need it, number one. And number two, it's important that you feel the control pressure so that you understand, you can feel what the helicopter is trying to do. So, again, I'll say it one more time. Don't use the trim when you're learning how to hover this machine. Second thing, these controls are pretty sensitive. So I highly recommend that you have some curves set on your controls. So if we go in here, I'm going to come down to the rudder. We'll take a look at it. Axis tune. You'll see everything is as it is by default, except for the curvature. I've set that to 25. And why have I done that? The rudder pedals are very sensitive. And if you do not set a curve, your pedals are, they're probably going to overwhelm you to start. I mean, listen, I've got nearly 1,000 hours in helicopters, and I don't like the way that these pedals are set up. So I added a curve of 25. Your mileage may vary. You can add more, you can add less, but I recommend 25 as a starting point, and then you can adjust from there. If you don't like it, if it's still too sensitive, increase your curve. If you feel that it's not sensitive enough, reduce it. I've got the same thing on my collective, and actually not the collective. No curve on the collective. Oh, here we go. Collective is just straight linear. And cyclic, let me move over there. Where'd it go? I keep doing that. Axis tune. So I've got 30 set on both. Because again, the cyclic and the cyclic itself is fairly sensitive as well. So start there, get yourself a good curve set on your controls, and that will help make it a little bit easier for you to learn how to hover. So let's talk physics. No, what? No physics. Hey, I never took physics in high school, but you know, you pretty much don't have a choice in learning physics when you learn how to fly. So what I want to do is talk about torque. Torque is the equal and opposite reaction, thanks Newton, the equal and opposite reaction to the rotor blades spinning in a counterclockwise direction. So you view from the top, spinning counterclockwise, turns to the left. Well, what that means is torque is the rest of the helicopter turning to the right. So I'm going to show you what I mean here. I'm going to pick the helicopter up using the collective, and I'm not going to input any rudder. And you've no doubt seen this, but watch this. Here we go. Torque's increasing, coming up, coming up, coming up. You can see it's wanting to turn to the right. Want to turn to the right. We are off the ground. I'm not making any control inputs right now. Okay, now I'm going to save it. Alright, I'm no Fort Rucker instructor pilot, but I can save that much. Alright, I'm going to back it up here, back to the beginning of the runway. Hovering a little bit low, a little bit wobbly. It's okay. Just making small corrections. We'll get back. Normally we'd be looking a left and right to make sure there's nothing behind us, but it's a cold start mission. I know there's nothing behind it, or hot start mission. I know there's nothing behind us. So here we are, coming up over the numbers. I'm going to go ahead and set it down. Okay, so we know that the helicopter wants to spin right because of torque. So how do we counteract that? Rudder pedals, right? So we input rudder pedals to counteract the torque. And since the helicopter wants to spin to the right, we're going to input left pedal. So something else to remember is that because of torque, anytime you move that collective, your feet should be moving as well. So if I'm pulling up on the collective, I should be making right pedal or left pedal inputs. If I'm pushing it down, I should be making right pedal inputs. Or relaxing the pressure on the left pedal, depending on how you're configured, what you're actually doing at the moment. So what you want to do, I'm going to leave the control indicators up, but I'm going to turn the iHads off, is as you input collective, you're also inputting left rudder. Little bit of left cyclic as well, because the helicopter is going to start to roll just ever so slightly to the left, or to the right. I'm getting my left and right backwards. Okay, so you can see here, picking up pretty close to a 5-foot hover. We may be just a touch high. Kind of hard to tell from this vantage point. I don't have the iHeads up, so I could look down. You know, if I had planned this out better, I would have put up a flight page, but I didn't. So you can see how much left pedal I've got in there just to be able to hover. It's fairly significant. So how am I keeping this in one spot without the iHeads, without the symbology showing me what I'm doing? Well, I'm looking outside. I am using all of my outside references to help me keep this helicopter in one spot. So, for example, that white centerline stripe, I'm using that. I'm using the cracks in the pavement. I'm using the position of the, if you look up to the right over there, you see the bunkers. I can see that in my peripheral. I can see the trees and the truck over there. So I'm using all of that to just help me kind of keep it generally in one spot. I think that people need to learn how to hover this aircraft without the iHads symbology first. And then once you get that down, you can throw the symbology into the mix to see how it's going. So yeah, just a touch high, not bad. And we're holding it in one spot fairly well. Alright, bringing it back down. A little bit hard, but you know, it's a sim, right? Alright, so heading with pedals. We've talked about that. Now what we need to talk about is cyclic inputs. Very, very small when you're trying to hover. Very small. You do not want to make gross, giant cyclic inputs like this. If you look at my controls indicator up in the top left, you don't need to do that. Like when I pick it up to a hover here, look how much my cyclic is actually moving in the controls display. I mean, just a fraction of an inch. I'm going to correct by sliding back to the left. So very, very, very small movements on the cyclic are more than enough to make the helicopter do what you want it to do in a hover. The next tip that I have for those of you learning how to hover is that when you make a corrective movement, you immediately take it out. What do I mean by that? Alright, so I'm going to slide back to the left here. Sliding to the left. Alright. Oh, I don't want to do that. Let's take that out. So come back to the right. Watch my controls indicator. I put it in, I take it out. I put it in, I take it out. Because if you put it in, you leave it in, here you go, drifting off to the right. Oh, well, let's correct that. I put it in, I leave it in, now I'm drifting back to the left. So you put it in, you take it out. And that is really the key with the Cyclic when you're trying to hover. Okay. There really isn't a whole lot more to it other than practicing. You practice moving your collective up and down and moving your pedals as well. Practice very, very small movements on your Cyclic. Practice making inputs and taking them right back out. And that should help you learn how to better hover the Apache. Hey, if you've liked what you've seen, or any of my tips have helped you at all, please drop a like, follow, subscribe, whatever the case may be, for wherever you're watching this, and get notified the next time I put out a video that may or may not help you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.